So welcome back. Welcome back to the Top 5 Sports NBA podcast. This is our fourth episode, and I'm excited because we are pretty much at the quarter season mark of the season, and there's been enough games played around the association so that we have a good understanding of who guys are, what teams are, even given like some of the COVID things going on. Like we kind of get it. Like we've seen enough. Sample size is large enough, and so within these last couple of days, there's been quite a lot going on. Some off the court, some on the court. But yeah, I'm excited to get into this pod. Eric, my boy, what's good?
What's up, man? Yeah, like you said, there's been a good sample size to see what teams really are at this point, and what they could potentially can be, and some of their flaws, some of their ups, some of the things they can improve on, and what they're great at. So yeah, man, good opportunity. But like you said, man, it's been a lot of stuff in the association the last week or so, man. Off the courts, we got we'll get into it. We got Karen yelling at people, cussing them out, bro. Savannah James might slap a white woman. We don't know, bro. But we're gonna get into all that because it's definitely something that we got to talk about for sure.
For sure. But as we do every single week, we are Chicago-based Bulls fans till we die, and we're gonna go ahead and start off with our Chicago Bulls section. I just botched it, but we're good. We're just gonna slide into it. Might not be able to bring in the little soundbite, but Ed, I know you wanted to bring up a special signing to the Chicago sports team, so go ahead and start us off.
Yeah, man. Just shout out to Chicagoland's own Candace Parker. Naperville, Naperville, Illinois, man. I think she went to Naperville Central or North.
Central,
yeah. So won a state title. Won the dunk contest back in like 2003 or 4 that was. And so, yeah, man, Candace Parker, 34 years old now. She kind of grew up in L.A. Professionally after she left Tennessee. Did well down there with Pat Summitt. R.I.P. to Pat, one of the best coaches ever, regardless of, men's and women. So, Candace back home, Chicago Sky. Your boy, ED, will have a jersey in hand as soon as that shit's readily available. I can tell you that right now. I've been waiting for this, man. I was sad when Elena Deladon left because Elena Deladon is another person who I'm a big fan of their game. And just kind of jumping into this, not to go off track, but man, if you don't really appreciate women's basketball, it's either one or two things. You only know dunks and crossovers, or you just really don't have a great appreciation for the game because, man, these women's games, bro, balling, bro. We talk about Paige Buchers. You can the list goes on of like up and coming players they can do. So man, it's great to see, Candace coming back here. She got a 2-year deal, talking about a 2-time MVP, 5-time All-Star. I'm about to be turning up in the Windy City. So man, I'm excited, bro. Candace, welcome back to the crib. Can't wait. Hopefully we get us a championship with the Sky. I will have a jersey in hand. She left Sheldon Williams. I'm in a relationship. If you want to welcome me, whatever, let me know.
I didn't even know that. I didn't even know she left Sheldon Williams.
Yeah, let me know. But yeah, man, it's exciting times, man. Jokes aside, man. Real. I'm really happy to have her back here in Chicago.
No, for real. And I watched her in an interview talk about like coming to Chicago, and she said something that I thought that really resonated with me because it's funny, kind of like an ongoing joke with people from or around the area of Chicago is that like you get in the city, if you're from Chicago, you get a little offended when people from the suburbs claim Chicago, right? But if you happen to be from the suburbs and you're raw or whatever you do, right? Chicago will claim you even if you're from the suburbs.
Yeah, 100%, bro.
It's one of those funny things. Like case in point, Juice WRLD. He went to my high school, home in Flossmoor, but like grew up in the south suburbs. But you ask anybody like, oh yeah, another Chicago rapper. Chicago embraces that, you feel me? But that's not really
right.
They don't want to nitpick then. But
right.
In the interview, it was funny because she was like, yes, I went to Naperville Central. That's where I play my ball at. So yeah, I grew up in Naperville, but I graduated playing basketball in Chicago. And I think that can be said for virtually anybody that comes from almost, you can say Illinois in general, but if you were a guy coming up or girl and getting and making noise on that circuit, you have to at some point show your skill set in the city of Chicago, whether that be through AAU, um, even just playing city teams. So I think that's something that was pretty cool and funny that she brought out. And kind of another thing I wanted to bring up because between the last couple episodes that we recorded, or between the last episode we recorded, it was the anniversary of Kobe's passing. And I think one of the coolest things about Kobe post him playing, or more so just in the latter stages of him playing, is the amount of like attention and respect that he started to bring to the women's game. And that ties into a few levels because we talk about how, if you don't respect women's basketball, you there's a few things wrong with you off rip. But I know I texted you super excited maybe a few days ago because UConn were in town and they were playing DePaul. And so I'm at work, right? So I work at the Nike store downtown. I'm at work and I see this group of girls come in with these UConn jackets. I'm like, they got UConn head to toe. I'm like, this can't be, one of the most dominant teams in sports history, like in my store. So I'm like, oh man, like I'm seeing these girls walk in and then I'm like, wait a second. Like, you mentioned Paige Bueckers, and I've been like following her and watching her hoop mixtapes for a few years now. I'm like, ain't no way Paige finna be walking in here, right? Lo and behold, I see Paige Bueckers walking. I'm like, yo, like I had a little moment of like just being a fanboy because like in that store, G, like when I tell you, like I've seen crazy amount of athletes. I've seen Bam, I've seen Ben Simmons, I've seen Devin Hester. Like I've seen just a number of people that are famous and whatnot. So like I usually don't get like that, but for whatever reason, I'm like, gee, like this is different. Like I got literally like if to be a high school player, when I tell you she won everything you can possibly win, every accolade you could possibly get, and she was hooping like when she was playing in Connecticut. It's just crazy. And ironically, she was in a boot when she walked in the store. So I was like, wow, like I guess you're not playing tonight. And she went on to like drop a dub and beat DePaul. But yeah, man, like Candace, happy she's coming to the city. I probably will cop a jersey as well. But kind of cool just to show some love to the woman to start off this Chicago episode. And to move on to the Bulls, Eric, if you want to go ahead and give us what you've been seeing, what you've been witnessing. I know you watched that last one against New York, but what's on your mind for our Bulls?
Yeah, man. I think honestly, the Bulls. I think when we talked about the projections for them where they could be at, they're trending exactly where I anticipated. To be honest, we see the development of Kobe White as a facilitator getting better, and that's really not his game. He's really has a scorer's mentality, and he's coming along. You're seeing the development of Laurie. You're seeing, vets like Thaddeus Young make plays, who we'll get into specifically. But I like where we're at, man. The only thing that I will say, and I think everyone who's a Bulls fan has issues with, had an issue with this. I definitely want the Bulls to be competitive, lose games what they've been doing. I want a high draft pick. I want to tank. I'm not going to shy away from it. It's about, like I said, it's about 10 people that can be all-stars in this upcoming class. Mm-hmm. I need that. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, that game versus the Blazers, that was a tough one to swallow, man. Like, we got to talk about it. I want to avoid it, but we got to talk about it. It was big plays, big shots the Bulls made. Zach LaVine hits a tough two. We go up, 117 and 115, come down, hits three. Bro, I'm not gonna lie to you. I went to the bathroom. I'm like, cool, we won the game. It's
all game.
It's 13 seconds left. Game over with. Bro, I come back and I see we lost. I'm up refreshing my phone. What you mean we lost?
No way.
But yeah, man, just an epic breakdown, man. Somebody, it's like, I love Zach LaVine, but somebody with a 45-inch vertical losing a jump ball.
How do you lose?
It just, man, I don't know, man. I don't know what was going on, but yeah, it was tough. And then Dame Lillard, of course, it was time.
Yep, it was time.
Hit a big game winner over Laurie, and it was that was tough to swallow because that's one of those where if you lose a close game, fine, because the other team clearly took it, but I don't want to lose close games and we're giving those away. You know what I mean?
Giving away.
Yeah. So
And that
it's
wasn't
tough.
the first time
It's
either.
tough.
That's what hurt. That's probably, in my estimation, the third time they've given the game away. The Oklahoma City Thunder game was awful.
Oh, yes.
And then the Warriors game towards the beginning of the season too. Not as bad, but again, like I remember Billy Donovan talking about that first Warriors game, and he was just like, "Yeah, well, we turned the ball over so many times." And I just wrote like a little quarter season report, and Bulls have the average the most turnovers per game of any team in the NBA, and Zach LaVine is second in the NBA in turnovers per game behind. I want you to guess. I want you to guess who's first in the NBA. It's kind of obvious. It's kind of obvious.
If I had to take a guess, I would definitely say it was Westbrook.
Yeah, it's Westbrook.
Yeah, well, I mean, if anyone can guess about me, I am not pro Westbrook. Nothing against him, but we're not gonna get into that. We can talk about that another day. But yeah,
another day. But yeah, so that's just been something that, especially in these close games, has continued to plague this team. Is just not taking care of the ball, and that's a reason why I'm pretty sure AK and Eversley are point guard hunting as we speak, because it's clearly something that this team needs. And Satoransky is a guy where like he deserves minutes. I think he's a career 3-to-1 assist ratio guy. So like he assist to turnover ratio guy. So I like him, but he's not like he's an answer off the bench. He's not the answer to like what I'm saying, run this team. You feel me? So so yeah, those close games continue to hurt. Luckily, like last night against the Knicks, they did get it done, and like lockdown when it mattered. So
yeah, I'm a chill on Sato. It's Tuesday. I'm in a good mood, but yeah, I mean, honestly, man, it's gonna be a lot of bumps and bruises, things we got to figure out, and I think one of the big things, we didn't have a lot of our team for a little while too. So we're missing big pieces for a substantial amount of time, and that definitely played a factor in how we approach games and the way that we went about it. So, ultimately we'll have to figure out us moving forward as we build out this identity and see who we are. But would love to hear your thoughts, because I know this is one of your guys on the squad. Laurie put up a nice little 30-piece last night, averaging 21 and 6 on the season. Got to get those rebounds up, but he is he's on the perimeter, spacing out, so I get it. But yeah, would love to hear your thoughts on his progression since he's come back out of the COVID protocol and contract tracing, and where you think his projection for the rest of the season is going to be at.
So he was also something I pointed out in like my 5 takeaways on the quarterly, and I've been very impressed with Laurie. A lot of that, some of it is just simply he's shooting the ball better. From 3, he's over 40%, and compared to last year, like his numbers are up in virtually, every stat. And so what I'm starting to notice is that we're letting LaVine work more in the pick and roll with Laurie than we were in the beginning of the season. And when it comes to just like pick and pop, he's the guy for that. And so him kind of proving a lot of people wrong, because I think when you look at his team, he's probably one of the most ridiculed. When you talk about trade targets, trade rumors, Laurie's the first guy we put on the block. And in a weird way, it's kind of like a prove it year for him to show that like he's a player that needs to stay on this roster. So, if he can continue to be this type of player, back-to-back 30-point games, if he can continue to stretch the floor, shoot the ball well, and then again show ability to, drive to the cup and finish strongly when those opportunities are there. Because I see him as a way more mobile and athletic stretch four than kind of like your typical NBA guy or NBA stretch four. So he has that ability, and so I've been pleasantly surprised since he's came back from his little contact trace COVID break. And I say this all the time about guys that we kind of give up on too early, or we judge too quickly. And across the league, year by year, you see guys that whether it's a situation, whether it's coaching, which obviously was a thing for Laurie, but
Right.
not everybody just gets it on the first 2-3 years. Sometimes it just takes that extra year to make that jump. So, yeah, I feel good about that. And I did want to give one more shout out in a positive note, and that is on Thaddeus Young, which ironically was a signing from the previous regime. But man, like, he's flirting with triple doubles every night recently.
Oh man, Thad, baby.
And exactly that's the thing. His game is very old man esque. So last year he kind of complained about his role being pushed out to just being like a catch and shoot guy, but he really is like somebody that wants to get busy in the low post. That's just who he is. That's just who he is. And so, like, these last few games I've watched, I've noticed that, like, him either getting the ball and posting him down low, or him just working as a facilitator within, like, that mid-range area has been like money for him. And
right, yeah,
had 11 assists the other night. I'm pretty sure he had 9 assists last night. Averaged a career high in assists, which is just like, I mean, like, and if you paid attention to Thad Young over time, he's a baller. He's been on teams where his role has been way more prevalent, and so yeah, it's good. It's good to see that as another aspect of this team that's looking good. So
yeah, no, I definitely agree with everything you said there, especially the piece on that. Which is surprising, man. He's flirting with triple doubles like every night. You would think a guy like him would have one triple double, but he's never had one in his career, which is surprising. I found that out, last night. I think, yeah, we played the Knicks. They were talking about it. So yeah, he had 13, 8, and 8, and just flirting with it, man. I think he'll get it here soon. But yeah, man, Thad's been great. Just you can see the development that he's having on the young guys, especially the Windows, the Daniel Gaffords, the way that they're thinking through the game. Catching it off a short roll. Now, not first thing, just putting the ball on the ground, surveying, seeing what options they have, and making the right basketball play. Because, Thad gets a lot of hockey assists too, man. What I mean by that is, he'll hit somebody who's open, boom, they'll swing it one more for a better shot, and we get not. That's that came from him off the play. So I'm really loving, Thad in these, short roll situations. Hopefully he's able to stay around, because I do know Thad is going to be one of the guys that, if the Bulls were able to take a decline and, now we're really going to load up for the draft, teams are going to come calling, man, for sure. Veteran teams looking for some depth, looking for somebody to make some plays. And so, yeah, man, exciting stuff all around, man. I think the Bulls, it's crazy to think, where we're at right now. We could definitely be, just based on how the seating is in the East, we could probably be, 6th or 5th, which is crazy to think, man.
Easily.
Crazy to think. Like, no lie, like, we've lost, like you said, 4 or 5 games that have been extremely close, man. Like, and so to see that, to me, is kind of like, wow. Yeah, Bulls, we're 8-11 right now. I tried to look it up. And so the 8th seed is 10-11. And so we have easily, bro, yeah, the 4 seed is 12-9, bro. We at least have 4. Yeah, bro. So we could be a 4 seed right now. So, we'll see what happens. I definitely think we're going to be in that play-in spot at the end of the season. And, yeah, man, we'll figure this out. And keep it rolling, man. Keep it rolling. Keep it rolling.
All right. Well, that's all we got for our Bulls. Now moving on to our next segment, which is 5 things between me and Eric that we liked or did not like since the last time we recorded. And you start us off for this week. What do you have? What do you got?
Yeah, let's be positive tonight, man. Let's kick it off with a like. I really like the poise of LaMelo Ball. And I say that because, this is a kid who at this point is 19 years old, has been ridiculed for a long time, has many people preying on his downfall, just like his brothers, Lonzo and D'Angelo. And so, Melo had a stretch where he was averaging 16, I think 7 and 7, right? 7-game stretch, earlier in the season. And then he hit a rocky bump where he was averaging around 10 and 5 and 4, and he was shooting like 35%, 29 from 3, and an abysmal amount of turnovers. And so, He ultimately ended up getting benched during the Chicago. Actually, surprisingly, he played Chicago, and he played like 16 minutes. And
Yeah.
He had I think 5 or 6 turnovers in that game. And his head coach, man, literally came back and was like, "Look, essentially, he has to get better in order to play," and that's and you really can't fault that. But to see that way that LaMelo has responded has been amazing to me, man. I've loved it. Like since that conversation, like a lot of people could have faltered, the same way when he went to Lithuania, it could have been a tough boat, couldn't have made it where he's at. But man, LaMelo comes back and you're talking about leading off the bench, beating the Bucks and leading the Hornets to that win, having 27 off the bench, 9 assists, 5 rebounds, plus 37 on the game. Insane, man. Then come back, first start, Terry Rozier's out with a minor ankle tweak, first start, 14, 5 rebounds, 7 assists. So just a heck of a way for a young dude to respond, man. That dude's a fighter, always been fighting. I know he'll continue to do that. And so, yeah, man, I love the poise that he has. I love people that have played through adversity like that. Don't get rattled, man. So who knows the projections for him and his career is going to be. But the one thing I can say is that dude's even kill. He's always going to bring his lunch pail to work and put his head down and just fight through whatever's coming his way. So been loving to see it, man. You got to love it. Been huge for LaMelo.
Yeah, Melo is definitely another example of how media can just misconstrue and just be so wrong about like how guys are and like how they actually approach the game and what kind of teammates they'll be. And yeah, bro. So I'm with you, bro. Like if you don't root for the balls, something off with you, bro. Especially as a black man. I don't know a lot of black men that don't rock with LeVar off rip. You feel me? Just for kind of the things that he symbolizes. But like Lonzo, LaMelo, like you just got to root for those guys, man. Because like if it's one thing that's true, like they grinded and worked for the things they got, and
Right.
So yeah, it's real good to see LaMelo.
Speaking on LeVar real quick though, before you jump into the one thing I will say is that for me, that people that do not like LeVar, I'll just say this to you: if you probably have never played at any level, some sort of high sports or what have you, because LeVar is just a prototypical loud sports dad. That's all he is. If you play sports, if you played travel basketball, baseball, whatever you do, and you played on a high competitive level, you have that. That's the dad that if he is on your team, that's the funniest dad. You love having him. If you playing against him, you hate it because you just, man, LeVar's an overall good dude, man. And yeah, I've never understood that. Conversation we'll have to, dig into another day. But yeah, man. So if you disrespect LeVar, man, just know you probably just played at the rec league and y'all was getting, lollipops after you lost by 30 and shit. So.
Right. Or even more so, like his kids happen to be extremely talented as well. So like it's even another level of hate that comes with that. Because he's right. He be right about a lot of the shit he says. So
never lost.
Never lost. But yeah, right. So moving on to my little point, and also on the positive light, something I like, and that is Coach Silas of the Houston Rockets, and just that team in general, how they're playing post the James Harden trade. They are on a 6-game winning streak currently. They are the number 1 defensive team in NBA as far as rating goes since Harden has left. And I tell you, like, I hate myself for this reason, and I feel like such a casual because I know I'm not the only person though. Before this season, if you asked me who Christian Wood was, I'd be like, If you told me if you wanted to, if you asked me who he played for, I'd be like, I don't know who Christian Wood is. So I remember people kind of hyping that signing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, even fantasy basketball, I'm like, look at the Rockets and let me get Boogie when Christian Wood wasn't available because I just wasn't in tune. And in my opinion, he's the best player on that team. And I watched their past game against the Blazers, and I was like, yo, like talking about impacting the game in every single aspect, like rebounding, defending, blocking shots, hitting threes, playmaking. Like this dude is for real. Another person that I put on my list of like, this is why you shouldn't be overreacting on a player's career through X amount of games. Because this is a guy who bounced around a few teams. Pretty sure was in the G League. People had a
Yep.
lot of questions about like who he was and how he's capable. Now he's probably going to win most improved player and damn near borderline an all-star. And so it's like, but just the Rockets as a whole, gotta love Silas anytime a black coach is prospering. You got to tip your hat. And like, this is why I was kind of early in the season, like hoping that Harden wrote it out, because I looked at the roster. I'm like, they got a lot of pieces and they got a lot of dudes. And I don't think Harden has ever played with a big with as much versatility as Christian Wood. And so I was just like, man, like, look at what you got. Maybe write it out. Obviously, that didn't happen, but now you've got Depot there, who's been playing pretty well since he got over there, extremely motivated. You just got a bunch of guys that are just motivated to just prove whoever
Right.
wrong. Walls motivated to prove the Wizards wrong for giving up on them. Oladipo, for whatever he's gotten over the last few years, is motivated to prove people wrong. And like, I watched Dame on a few possessions, like try to ISO Eric Gordon. I'm looking at EG just playing like ferocious on ball defense, and look across that roster, like you got a lot of guys who are just like grinders, and like
Yeah.
PJ Tucker, like you got a lot of guys that are like they're committed to do the dirty work, committed to play defense, and it really all boils down to a team that's just like, it's kind of hard to not root for if you like the game of basketball, because they're starting to play the right way. They got a bunch of guys who been counted out, and yeah, man, like
Yeah, man.
Rockets are one of those teams. Yeah.
Yeah, to your point, man, they got a lot to prove, man. Like they said, they got a lot of guys who are hungry. You got John Wall, like you mentioned, who people thought counted out. Boogie the same way. I will say this though, and just because I love the game of basketball. I love like the X's and O's of it. You know, I was obviously knew Harden was going to leave. That's kind of where I was at. Kind of came out with that first. But Christian Wood, man, like not surprised. I'm gonna tell you, bro. I've been trying to get that man in fantasy for since last season, bro. And my boy would not budge. And I think but it's just like, man, you can see the progressions like that he had in his game, man. What Christian Wood really got on my radar was when he was with the Bucks, and I think he was 22 at the time, and I think this was before Brooke Lopez got there, but maybe Brooke was there. But and long story short, injuries caused him to get playing time for about a 10-game stretch. And playing next to Giannis, bro, he was hooping. And when they let him walk, I'm like, or they cut him or whatever they did, I'm like, bro, what? Are y'all stupid? Like, he's the perfect fit next to Giannis. He can shoot the ball, put the ball on the ground. Like, we'll space it. It's going to be athletic. That's a sizable front court. Giannis is a great rim protector. They both can block it. Like, so anyways, man, yeah. Been following Christian Wood. I'm very happy, man. He's definitely the type of guy who, bets on himself. And don't feel bad, about being a casual, man. He called Shaq a casual. And that man gets paid to do what we're doing right now for free. So, shit. But, yeah, man. Staying with the positivity, man, giving somebody else some pub, man. I'm really kicking over to the East Coast, Boston. Not gonna talk about my son Jason Tatum. They're gonna talk about JB, man, Jaylen Brown, bro. Anyone who knows, man, I love Jaylen Brown. Just the person that he is, for a young guy. Jaylen is the type of guy who is really locked in, man. Even though he's very vocal in terms of social issues, on the ground. We talked about this a little bit, just in passing about how, he carries himself. And so, when you get a guy like that, you're always going to root for him. But, man, I will never forget when Jaylen Brown got taken with the third pick. A ton of people were questioning if Danny Ainge was actually the talent evaluator that he's hyped up to be. Right, because he also has some picks questionable, like taking Fab Melo and RIP to Fab and Jared Sellinger back to back in a draft, and so he's had some questionable things. But but he's also had some great picks. And so I love Jaylen Brown, man. He had a nice game. He was super athletic coming out at Cal, playing for Quanzo Martin back then. Pac-10 freshman of the year, bro. And one thing that put me on to Jaylen Brown was that the fact that when he came out of college, man, unlike most people, he did not sign with an agent. He went through that first process on his own because he was like, these contracts are not going to be able to be negotiated, so there's no need for me to have this. And he worked with the NPPA to, kind of go through this process and make sure he had everything he needed. Worked with Isaiah Thomas from the Pistons, not, IC4, and kind of got things together. And so to see Jaylen Brown now, man, you talking about dude averaging 27, 5 and 5, bro, almost. And it's just, man, killing, right, bro, all-star.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, he also scored a week ago, scored 33 in 19 minutes, bro. They were blowing him out. He could have had 50. He played 19 minutes and had a 30 ball. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is just like, stank face. Like,
for real.
Seeing where he was at, people questioning him, and then, the development that he made, and then Gordon Hayward and Kyrie come, then he has to take a back seat, and then he just constantly made jumps, man. Been a great voice, man. So somebody at 24 years old, not even really cracking a surface of what he can be is huge, bro. And Boston, they got to steal, man. That contract that Danny Ainge gave him, some people questioned it. I think it was 4 years, like $115 million. Shit, I mean that right now that is a steal because he's definitely going to be worth a lot more than that by the time this contract is up. That's for sure.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, I mean, between him and Tatum, you look across the NBA, they arguably have the strongest young nucleus because Tatum has potential to be top 5 in the league, if not higher. And you can make an argument that JB has potential to be top 10, top 15. So just those two, and you know how rare it is for a team to draft guys of this caliber and to hold on to them. So yeah, bro, like Boston's they're gonna be a team for a minute. That's just gonna be they gotta figure shit out around those two, which shouldn't be a problem as they kind of grow and become better players. Because my thing is like dudes aren't really like complete in their prime basketball players until you get to like 27, 28, in my opinion. And these guys got seasons until they get to that point. So it's gonna be scary in Boston if they do the right things, and of course those guys stay healthy. But yeah, bro, I'm with you on that too. JB definitely a steal. Definitely a steal.
Impromptu hot take on the fly because it's Tuesday. Mm-hmm. Outside of the hot take I'm gonna have later that we both have. Jaylen Brown and JT are what the Clippers think they have in Kawhi and Paul George. I'm going to drop the mic. I'm going to turn it over to you. Y'all take that for what you want. You heard it here first.
I'm just going to, let me just take that. Let me just take it over because I have a lot of questions. But, all right, so this, in a sense, could be looked at in both ways, but I'm going to put it as a dislike. And that is my boy Allen Washington, the leading scorer in the NBA, Bradley Beal. As far as what was last reported, he is not looking to get out of Washington. Is now requesting a trade, and it's a little perplexing. It's perplexing in the sense of how he's handled himself recently, because he has actually been outspoken about committing to stay in Washington and writing it out and taking I guess you could say the Dame Lillard route when it comes to sticking with the team. But if that's what you're saying and that's what you're going about, first and foremost, I ain't gonna be mad at you. I'm not gonna be mad at anybody, especially if it's caliber when you're playing on a franchise that's kind of failed and you see what's around them, you see how these games are going where not only is he scoring the ball really well, but it's not like he's out here being inefficient. He's shooting well, he's just hooping and he's not getting any help and they're losing games. And so it's like you'll be okay to request a trade because like that's kind of the norm in a sense. But this past game, when they beat the Nets, there's plays where off the ball he was just a mannequin, just standing still, like not engaged at all. And then there's even more stuff when he coming off the court, not giving guys dap or anything like that. And so my thing is, it's either one way or the other. You feel like either
Yeah.
you're on that level of like you're requesting a trade, you want to get out of there, which is completely fine, and he deserves to ask that. Or if you're saying you're good to stay, if you're saying you're locked in, like that is not going to help the current situation. Like, like if you're the leader of the squad, you got a lot of young guys on this team, and like that body language shit matters. Like how you're handling yourself, and even through these tough times matters. And so that's why I'm like a little kind of through it all confused, because it just doesn't. Those two things don't add up. If you want to stay, certain things like that shouldn't be happening. And by all means, request a trade, please. Every team in the
Right.
NBA is waiting for you to say you want to go. And I always want to mention my Bulls in a sense, because they have a sneaky chance off of the fact that if it's one coach that Bradley Beal probably loves the most, is Billy Donovan. So they do have a sneaky chance in getting Bradley Beal if he wanted to make a trade. But that's just my thoughts on that. It's just weird that he's not outwardly spoken, I guess, about one-on-one, but still behaving in that way. But yeah.
And I agree with you. Not so much about him not demanding a trade. What I dislike, and it has nothing to do with Brad. I dislike when I see players giving a ton of loyalty to these organizations. And I'll be the first and foremost, you have to look out for number one, being yourself, your family, and how that's impacted when you're talking about professional sports. Loyalty comes into play when you're talking about, youth basketball, some potentially college. And even then it's not in the case, because in amateur sports, that's a big business as well. And you ultimately have to do what's best for you. And so with Brad, I understand the mindset, get it out the mud, especially because a lot of that comes up in a way some of these guys are brought up, right? Like you are accustomed to, grinding to get what's yours. And, you have that mindset that you're going to fight through adversity. And if there's a brick wall in front of you, you're not going to turn around. You're going to run right through it, right? And so it's kind of hard to change that mindset. But at the same time, it's, you got to look out after yourself and, your happiness and what you want to do. Because, I mean, shit, they gave him that contract. If Brad started playing bad, the Wizards would have shipped his ass right off and so that's my thing. It's like, I understand being loyal. You want to be loyal to the fans. Cool. You start playing bad, or you start and these players start doing things that don't add up to what these fans and organizations want, and all that loyalty that they talk about goes completely out the window. So at that point, it's who cares, bro? Like, because I'm gonna be frank about it. Like, if it's me, I'm not operating that way. Right. So that's why I'm so big on player empowerment. When LeBron made the big three, even though I can tell you honestly, I used to despise Bron solely because he always used to beat the Bulls. Had nothing to do with being a Kobe fan. I respected his games, but he just always beat us. And I'm like, damn, can we win one playoff series, bro? Jesus Christ. Like, you know what I mean? But like Bron, man, he really shifted the mindset and the way these players think, right? And so, seeing players teaming up together, hey, if they're going to judge you based off getting rings and all that, fine. Because I'm going to sit here and tell you right now, the only difference between teaming up and what happened in the late 80s is that teams did this themselves. There's nothing different. The Celtics at one point had 7 Hall of Famers on one team. And nobody talks about that, bro. Nobody talks about it. They had 7 Hall of Famers who were either in their prime or just out of it and still major contributors on one team. Like, come on, bro. Like, y'all, if that's not a bad thing to you, if it's not bad seeing Magic Johnson and James Worthy and Kareem and Byron Scott and AC Green,
all these dudes,
Michael Cooper, right? All these dudes, you know what I'm saying? They 2K rating on Hall of Fame all time. They 85s and above, bro. Come on, bro. Like, I'm not trying to hear it, man. So, like, again, man, these players got to look out for number one, because these organizations are going to do what's best for them. And to be frank, man, even the money that they are given, it still doesn't account to the money that they bring in. So, screw it. You think it's best. do what's best for you. Get that lawyer aside. I hope either Brad flexes his muscles to, bring people in that he can get. Obviously, it doesn't seem like the Westbrook trade is working out, unfortunately. But hopefully, things can turn around because man, he's a good player, bro. 27 years old, and man, you hate to see people waste those years, man, when they could really be, impacting playing some winning basketball.
Right, for sure, for sure.
And the last thing, bro, to call out, if you're a fan, man, if somebody signs a contract, don't say, oh, well, he chose to be there. Okay, bro, if somebody's going to offer you that amount of money, you're going to sign there too. So please keep those comments to yourself when people – I cannot stand. That's what I dislike because he chose to be there. Yeah, he just got offered almost $200 million. You're not taking that shit too? Stop lying. Yes, you are. So think about it, man. Like think about it.
Yeah, for real.
But speaking of things we dislike, man, to finish up, and this has been in the media a lot lately, and I've always talked about this. I cannot stand, and I never use hate because hate's a strong word, but if I did hate anything, it is the way that these prior NBA players talk about current players and the negativity that's around them. I think there's a huge difference in between supporting players and trying to motivate them and then absolutely hating. It makes no sense to me. Kobe Bryant challenging different guys on Twitter to reach goals that they haven't met is huge, right? He challenged Giannis to win MVP. What did Giannis do? 2-time MVP now.
Mm-hmm.
I think Giannis thinks about those moments, RIP, to Kobe, my favorite player, Giannis, who used to exclusively wear Kobe's before he got his own signature shoe line. He probably looks back at that tweet and that motivation is like, man, that was amazing. Isaiah Thomas, same thing, right? That's different. But when you have guys like Shaq, where Rudy Gobert, whether right or wrong, gets paid, $205 million. He's the first big man to do it. Shaq is telling people, well, if you go out and do what Rudy Gobert does and just average, 12 points, 11 rebounds, and get a couple blocks, you're gonna get paid that way. Like, bro, that shit is hating, man. Like, don't be in another person's pockets. Like, he got paid, man. Just because you were in the wrong era when that happened, like, you were a phenomenal player. It's not necessary. Telling Donovan Mitchell. And I don't even know why, I don't know what type of tactic this was.
That was so weird.
But, he prefaced it with you. He's like, you're one of my favorite players, but I don't think you can win as a league player. What is Donovan supposed to say to you? Like, he gonna have an argument if you go on national television?
Right.
And then he goes and explains, and Shaq's like, oh yeah, that's what I want to hear, that you could do it. Like, you're not motivating anybody, man. You're just being annoying. You know what I'm saying? And another thing is too, a lot of these guys, man, they do not keep the same energy when people are in person. Right. Mm-hmm. And so Charles Barkley used to love to call out Draymond Green getting, a triple single, which I'm going to be the first to admit, shit was hilarious. I laugh at that all the time. Yes. But at the same time, he was that back and forth beef and comments in the media about it. Draymond during the bubble was on NBA on TNT filling in as a regular. Mm-hmm. And I didn't hear any of that nonsense, any of that talk that Charles had. And so a lot of these players, they see that too. And if I'm them too, it's like, if you're going to have that energy for me, have that energy this entire time. Don't just switch it up when you're on camera, right? Like that is something that is completely different. And I just think, man, a lot of these older players need to take a step back and look at, the example that they're setting and how, it's being represented. Because it is really truly hating. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's a reason why, guys like D Wade, AI, get celebrated countlessly because these players, like, they see the love that these dudes have them. You know what I mean? That's a different type of feel than what some of these other guys are doing. Mm-hmm. I don't think any of these guys should be taking that route. Karl Malone talking about, Zion Williamson needs to get in shape and Zion needs to do this. Like, he's fat. Zion's, that some of those might be true, but that's also not, his place to just jump in there. You wouldn't even ask about Zion. You just gave your opinion on because there are things that he's playing in Louisiana. The mailman is Louisiana and went to Louisiana Tech, and so he like, let's just stay where you at, bro. Like, and let these players develop and do their things, man. So, yeah, I really dislike it, man. I've never been a fan of it. I'm all for motivating, building people up, pushing people to strive for greatness, and getting to that point. But yeah, it's really going to be something where some of these guys got to look at it as like, am I really tearing somebody down, or am I building them up as I think I'm doing? And it's
bro.
At some point it's got to stop, because you see guys like LeBron and KD now in Instagram commenting on it. You would never think LeBron. Right. KD got Twitter fingers. That's my son. I love him. But you would never think LeBron would be doing that, right?
Right. Yeah. Nah, it's definitely a right and wrong way to go about it. And yeah, bro, you don't see it with every old head, but you do see it. I'd argue you see it with a slight majority of the old heads. Yeah. They just look at this, and you talk about the money thing too. Like that's such a nearsighted way to look at player value when you give in like the new CBA and the TV deals, and so much that goes into like why contracts look differently today. Like I hate that too. It's like, bro, like you counting money, but like Shaq, bro, if you were playing today, your money will look more than like what Rudy Gobert's money will look like, and that's just the fact. Like y'all gotta have some type of like, I gotta have some type of scope into like all this, bro. And like, meanwhile, like the Jazz are looking like the best team in the NBA for keeping the buck. They lost to but a lot of that has to do with Gobert's impact, and like, so it's just like, yeah, bro, you hit the nail on the head on a lot of that stuff, and it's just those older guys are weird. I doubt our current superstars will move into when they get out of the league. I doubt they'll look back at this the whatever that generation of hoopers would be and match that energy, just because like it's just different, bro. Like it's just different. And I think a lot of that has to do with just like the social media news cycle and how much more attention these guys get, especially from a younger age, and they just sometimes they just think about their careers. They don't feel like they got that same amount of hype and love and all that shit, and they start to get butthurt. But yeah, man, like I said, you hit the nail on the head on that, and that's it. So wrapping up on our 5 dislikes, 5 likes, and so we got our what the segment that we do every week, and last night was one of the more bizarre moments. It's a culmination of so many things, because obviously a scenario like this probably wouldn't occur if it wasn't a COVID season, and I'm speaking of the NBA's the Karen, the LeBron, and the Atlanta Hawks situation, because obviously Atlanta allows fans, but they don't have full capacity. So if there was any heckler, then they kind of stand out more so than others. But you got LeBron getting this altercation with apparently this lady, we're gonna call her Karen, her husband, but in some way, shape, or form, they ended up becoming a LeBron and her going back and forth. And then she gets ejected, and then she's making Instagram story posts, and while I'm watching all this, it's for one just hilarious, right? Because like, what the fuck, bro? Like what is happening in 2021, this modern NBA, like this lady gets so much publicity, but then like you deep dive and look at who this woman is, and it's just like she's dating a dude that like it's like maybe 20, 30 years older than her.
I ain't saying like, she a gold digger.
But shit, right? But shit,
oh no, for real.
it's just like everything just starting to make sense the way I'm like, bro, like rolling my eyes, but at the same time, it's just bizarre. Like it's definitely the most potent what the moment it is. It's like, bro.
No, easily, yeah. I mean, when we came up with this idea for this segment, we definitely were thinking about, that we always talk about how the NBA is one of the best dramas out there, right? If you are someone who likes things that are dramatized, the NBA is the place for you. Mm-hmm. It's got a little bit of everything. The shit is basically a soapbox, bro. It's literally you can, it's like how my grandmother likes Days of Our Lives when she watches that every day for like the last 50 years. That's the NBA for me, bro. Because it's just always something that's outlandish happening.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, with this, what told her name, you obviously can look it up if you want to. Her Instagram following it jumped from 5,000 or 10,000 to 72 within 24 hours. If you get to her page, I'm going to be sure you're going to see she's pretty happy about that.
Yeah.
Just you can make your own inferences about what that means when you go visit if you do. It's out there. But yeah, it's one of those things, man, where like you said, it's just bizarre, strange, right? Like fans heckle, fans, say things. But sometimes fans cross the line, man.
Yeah.
And I don't think, I think LeBron came out and said, he didn't want anybody kicked out. He liked that banter. He missed, seeing that interaction, having those interactions with fans, right? There have been other times, you think about Russell Westbrook, I think, a year or two ago, 2 years ago in Utah, right? Utah. That's all we got to say about that. Right? That's all we got to say about that. You got a fan kicked out because there's some things that you immediately cross the line, never unacceptable. But that was a back and forth banter. You know what I mean? The one thing that was just strange is that, if you looked at the woman's Instagram post afterwards, it was almost as though she was embracing that, celebrating it, excited about it. She came out and said her husband's like, oh, it doesn't like LeBron James. And then, not to get into things any political, but obviously LeBron is very outspoken, is very outspoken on his feelings towards Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. Come to find out her husband is a huge Trump supporter.
Oh, man.
Thousands of dollars to him. Man. And it's kind of, and at this point, it's like, okay, bro, like, you're not letting LeBron basketball players because his views don't like, it's just so crazy, man. And it's just the most like you said, 2021 thing that could happen.
Yeah, bro.
It was just wild, bro. Like, and I just stood up and I was watching this shit transpire, and I couldn't even believe it. I'm like, yo, this is really happening. This is really happening.
It's a new world we live in, man. Like, yeah. And it's like, it's crazy because like shit like this is not even surprising, bro. Like how that all unfolded and like her getting 50, 60,000 more followers and her embracing it. It just all makes sense, bro. Like none of it is surprising, but at the same time, it's just like, bro, realizing that this is our reality. This is our society. It's just wild, bro. But
yeah. I mean, it honestly, to your point, man, it just kind of wraps up like present day in a nutshell, man. Like, it's just the back and forth banter, everything that was going on, the age difference with like her husband, her being able to be an Instagram like personality. I think she's got public figure in her bio, bro. Like,
yeah.
I mean,
well, shit.
Like at that,
it's crazy. No pub is bad pub. This is probably. I guarantee you, she's gonna turn a bag off of this in some way, shape, or form.
Bro,
it's just gonna happen.
She got her. I mean, I'm on her profile right now, bro. She's got 72,600 followers, bro. She had 5,000 when I was, prepping for, us to talk tonight and just kind of doing some research, bro. She had 5,000, bro.
Yeah, bro.
And this was last night, man. So just crazy times in the association, man. It's wild. It'd be nice. It'd be nice when fans can get back to the game. But that was one of the strangest interactions. I can't say though this woman, man, she definitely lucked out because if Savannah just happened to be at that game, somebody would have got clapped up real quick. So she should be glad that didn't happen. And that's another thing too. LeBron said something about like she got the right one because if it was Savannah, it'd be a different story. Right. And the woman she like screenshot like, I want to see it. I'm like, bro, what?
Stop.
Just crazy, man. It's nuts.
Stop.
Wild times, bro.
Wild times, bro. All right. And so moving off of that in our final segment of the night, and that is hot takes / predictions. I got one to start us off, and it kind of tied into what we were saying earlier. As you look at the Eastern Conference, I believe there's only, 4 or 5 teams. Let me double check that real quick. Yeah, there's only 5 teams above 500 at this point. So when we talk about the Bulls, who are sitting at 8-11 and have played a few games lesser than a lot of teams because they had a few games postponed. I believe at the very least they're going to be playing in those play-in games, and to go even a step further, kind of as I made a little blog post to start the season about 5 things that need to happen for them to make the playoffs. I'm gonna lock in the Bulls being a playoff team this year, and it's just more so of a gut feeling. Like I've seen them play enough. They happen to rank as middle of the pack to above average offensive team and one of the worst teams defensively. However, as they continue to get all their guys in and playing, and Wendell gets back, I have a lot of faith in this team. I think in a weird way that Wendell injury is going to help Gafford gain some valuable minutes, so that front court is a little bit more solidified. And man, Zach continues the ball, Larry continues the ball. I'm just gonna say it. The Bulls will make the playoffs this year, and I'll be okay if I'm wrong. But yeah, that's my hot take prediction, especially given the state of the Eastern Conference right now, where there hasn't been really any team to pull away and look like the undoubted favorite to lock up playoff spots. So that's mine. That's mine right now.
Yeah, I like it. I smell it. I hope you're wrong, because obviously, again, I'm all for the tank, so I do hope you're wrong. I wouldn't be mad if that happened, but yeah.
Right. Quick question though, because I haven't looked at this much. So say the Bulls are the 10 seed and they play the 7 seed. That's how it works. Yes, 7, 10, 8, 9. Okay, so say it and then win 2 games in a row, made the playoffs. Is there a draft position? Is there lottery ball, whatever? Is that based off their regular season record, right? So if they're the 10 seed, is it based off their how they get into the playoffs still? Okay,
yes, bro. So it's gonna be. So they're automatically gonna be out of the lottery because they're gonna be in the playoff team. So those 16 teams, right? Yeah, bro. And then I'm telling you, not just for everyone, man. I watch a lot of college basketball. I love it. Man, it's just so many great players, man. You can go down the line. Jalen Suggs, Cade Cunningham, Evan Mobley. You got the guys on the Ignite team, Jonathan Kuminga. You got
U of I.
Ayo. Yeah. You got Ayo, who could be a late pick, who can really do some things, man. So you just got a lot of pieces, man. It's really exciting, man. And so I definitely want to make sure that, the Bulls, as they build out this future, we can have a opportunity to really build it out. But I do like that, and I do think I would not be surprised if we made the playoffs. I'll say that. For my hot take, it is Hot Take Tuesday. Anybody who knows me knows I have a take pretty much every day of the week. Bro, I'm a double down here on my Clippers disdain and hate. And that's kind of ironic since I was just talking about hating. But it's just kind of Clipper slander is pretty funny, bro. I can't deny it. It's hilarious. Yeah, Clippers, man, right now they're 16-6. They were first. They were tied for first before they lost to the Nets. Hey, I'm going to double down, man. I'm saying the Clippers do not make the Western Conference Finals this year. I do not see it. A lot of people think they will. I'm going to double down and say, nah, man, they out of there. And also, I need that to happen because that feeds into another take that I had that Kawhi Leonard leaves the Clippers. So I'm just doubling down all around. I'm put all my chips are in on the Clippers slander, man. Gonna ride this to the end. Either I'm gonna be right, or I'm gonna be way wrong. But yeah, Clippers don't make the playoffs, and it's gonna be bad, man. But right now, they look like they should be there. But I just Some just tells me it's not gonna happen, man. It's just too good to be true, man.
Yeah, well, they played the Nuggets the second round. Nobody would be surprised. Nobody would be surprised if they lost in the second round. But it's a hot take / prediction for a reason. And I ain't gonna lie, watching today's game and obviously playing the Nets is different because Kyrie went off tonight. We can go on with the Nets for a while because I think there's been a lot of positives, even though they've lost some weird games. But it's just something not the same about this Clippers team,
man. And
it always feels a little.
And the thing is, man, theoretically, they are playing a lot better than they were last season, right? Like
True.
they have, you obviously know who Lou Williams is off the bench. Got Nick Batum, who is guarding well in the passing lane, 6'9", knocking down the corner three when needed. They have Marcus Morris, bought into his role. Ty Lue got him to buy in there. And so they just got pieces, man, and making plays. And they also have right now, Kawhi, they have two guys who are shooting, got splits of 50, 40, 90. And Paul George is at 50, 45, 90.
Yeah.
And both of them are averaging at least 25, 5, and 5, right? So you would think with those type of splits, having two guys like that, like the Western Conference Finals or Conference Finals would be a lock. The chemistry that they're building, but it's something about it, man. Like I don't know.
You know what I think it is? As I'm like thinking about the game I watched, is that what made Clippers last year even more deadly to me was that if it wasn't Kawhi or PG, the Lou Will Montrezl pick and roll as like a different mode of offense was so deadly. And like I think when I was watching this game, I was like, that's what they were missing. Cause like I feel like it was a lot of like ISO between Paul or Kawhi and KD and James are like they're weird because they kind of possess things that can bother Kawhi a little bit. KD with his length and James just being so thick and strong. And so I'm like, man, like Lou Will doesn't have his partner in Trez. Like it'll be times where like them dudes they were the offense. Even sometimes late game, like they were the dudes that were like making shit happen. And I didn't feel or see any of that happening from this team. So maybe that's what it kind of off to me. So I can definitely see that. I can definitely see that being a struggle.
That's a great point, man. Because I think the thing is, even though Serge is a way better defender than Trez, and in terms of switching out guarding and pick and roll, Serge really at this point in his career, and it's true testament to the way he's developed his game, man. Trez is basically he's a spot up five pretty much. He will get dunks here and there, and he's still athletic, but he's really not getting down there. He's knocking down shots, and that's kind of his game, man. And so I don't really know what that projection looks like. You're right, like because if in the playoffs, man, if you match up with somebody, who is somewhat mobile, and I mean, it's really how great is that going to be? You know what I mean? So I don't know. I still have my major concerns about them. We'll ultimately see what happens from this and what route it goes. But I just can't. I cannot buy into the Clippers. I just can't. I can't do it, man. I'm not even a Lakers fan, bro. I just cannot do it. Yeah. Mainly because I was big on the Clippers last year, and I will say when playoff time came around, I definitely bet on Bron. Shout out to my boy I won $100 off of. We'll hold your name just in case you're listening. But yeah, I bet on Bron, but it was just we talked about that. I was really big on the Clippers, man, and just it wasn't so much the epic collapse. It was also some of the things that I saw within the first round too. They just didn't click. It was just certain things there, man. And
bro,
I would really like to see them because I think they have a lot of pieces, man. But it's just tough. And my biggest concern is like, what is Paul George going to do when it's winning time, man? And it's tough because so many people go back and think about that young, 23, 22-year-old who dunked the shit out of Birdman in the Eastern Conference Finals, and Bron clapping him up like, yo, this man, welcome this dude to an elite company. And that's really could be him. And then seeing what he did in OKC when he was playing at an MVP form and third MVP voter. So it's just crazy, man. I don't really know what's going on, but for the since 2017, he's had at least one abysmal game in the playoffs, and I think it really came to a head. So hopefully he turns around. Yeah. Hopefully they prove me wrong, man, because they have a lot of pieces, but I just can't see it.
Yeah, I think as basketball fans, we deserve a
want that, bro.
Lakers.
We want that.
That's what people need to see.
Yeah. You want the best of the best on the floor at all times, man. We want to see, how an older LeBron who has transformed his game, who's knocking down shots at a high clip now.
Mm-hmm.
How he's doing against someone that's 6-7 years younger than him, right, in their
Right.
prime. And so we want to see those matchups, man. We want to see AD match up with a Surge who can move his feet and actually can guard, and it's not as crazy. So we need to see that, man. But I just can't see it, man. The Clippers going Clippers at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Cursed franchise, man. For real.
Cold world.
All right, man. That's all we got for this episode. In my estimation, another good one. I appreciate you as always. And yeah, man, Bulls play tomorrow. They got the Knicks tomorrow. Hopefully they continue on the right note. I mean, I guess given what we talked about this year, you hope that they don't and just finish with this kind of record.
I mean, hey, listen, we got to beat the teams we got to beat, though. We can't be losing to the goddamn Knicks. We can't do that. Yeah, so we got to beat the Knicks, but we got to lose the games, the close ones against the good teams. What I would say.
Exactly. Right. That's a perfect formula. But Eric, my boy, again, I appreciate you.
Always, man.
Yep, I'll get up with you next time, man.